Just with regard to changing things in the church, just very briefly, Father Kieran, who is the director of worship for the diocese, came to us about, oh gosh, over a year ago, and gave some suggestions. And his suggestion was to have a series of listening sessions for the parish with regard to all of the space. So, to see if all of the space still serves our needs today as when it was first built in the late 60s. So his comment was the assembly is blocked by the two walls, so it blocks us really worshiping together. There's a physical division that doesn't enhance worship. So that was his comment, to find out if it would be possible, to find out where the load-bearing aspects of those walls are and to possibly take them down. His other comment was to look at everything in kind of a dynamic whole. So the baptismal font, the ambo, the altar, the presider chair, the tabernacle, choir, to see again if what we have now is working for us well. He says after the listening sessions, everyone might say, you know what, we like it the way it is, let's keep it the way it is, everything the way it is. Or it might take some planning to reimagine how we could have the space better serve the community and our prayer needs in the 21st century. So the plan, we had formed through the liturgy committee, we formed an ad hoc committee to take a look at this question, and we had gone back and forth with how to do that. One of the things was to educate the assembly, is well, what happens when we as a Catholic community gather to worship at Mass? What really happens, and how does the space affect us? And what are these essential things in the space that hopefully help us pray better? So there was a catechetical aspect to the preparation before having these listening sessions. Our latest meeting, after again looking at this and looking at the changes in the Roman Missal that are coming up this year, is we thought we could dovetail and do them together, but it was just a little bit too much, and we decided let's bracket that catechetical aspect for the Mass and the worship space till after the changes in the Roman Missal, so that to be more effective in that teaching. So you can look forward to that next year. We're going to be ramping up to, again, educate the assembly, the community, so that when we do have these listening sessions, they'll be most fruitful.
So hopefully we'll explore that a little bit further. I know that it's used, if anybody comes to the Padre Pio Masses once a month, that's played before, and it really does increase the reverence, and people just, basically don't really chitter-chatter before Mass like they do on normal weekend Masses. So.
Yes?
In this reverence, shouldn't we project that when we come to Mass, to a worship, it's like going to a banquet, it's not like going to the beach or going with flip-flops and shorts. It looks to me very natural to come to worship the Lord.
Thank you.
Visiting before Mass, this is something that Mike and I will experience later in life, but we have noticed the older generation, because their hearing has gotten worse, they don't realize they are, did you hear what Father said? Oh, I couldn't hear a word. And they don't realize that they are speaking in the tone of voice that they are speaking. They think they're, did you hear what Father said? And Mike and I have experienced that embarrassment with just his mother and his aunt sitting next to each other. We're like wanting to crawl under the seat, but that's just part of nature.
That's the reality of our diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is interesting. I'm sure we all travel quite a bit. And I've gone to church a lot in Fort Collins, Colorado. And it really is interesting to me. I do dress up for church on Sunday, and I really believe in silence. But the church that I go to at Fort Collins, when I go there, honestly, some of the Eucharistic ministers wear Bermuda shorts. And this is on Saturday and weekend. But that parish has such liveliness. It's, it's so like, to see that liveliness, that spirit that they have, something. So clothes might make the man, I'm not sure they make the church. But I'm not sure.
I was going to say the same. Huntington Beach, California, the beach communities, they have a different sensibility with that stuff too. So, I mean, every community is a little different. So.
Yeah, we lived in Huntington Beach for 20 years.
So,
St. Simon Jude there has got more intensity and reverence than the church of Huntington. I'm sorry to say this weekend, but it's just really alive and vibrant. So I'm not sure clothes make the difference. I mean, the difference is in the attitude of the parishioners.
I think it's a matter of opinion, but when you think that is the king, if it was Queen Elizabeth, they would not show up in shorts and flip-flops. I think they have to be reminded that this is Jesus, and I think dress does matter. And I think it's our responsibility to teach our next generation. Otherwise, we'll just keep going down, down, down.
But if you lived with Queen Elizabeth and saw her every day, you probably would stop dressing up for her. And so there is that feeling that Jesus is present with us every day and accepts us in the buff as well as dressed to the nines. And I think that on the extra special liturgies, if you see somebody in Bermuda shorts, it's a shame. It's a crying shame. But I think that those of us who do attend regularly may feel a little bit more comfortable in not dressed to the nines every week. And I'm okay with that. I think, again, a matter of opinion, one thing I do see a lack of spiritualness and spirituality. And I think for me, a lot of it comes, a heightened sense of the experience in Mass comes from the music liturgy, which I feel is lacking in some of the Masses, and I'm so thankful that my generation has the 5 o'clock Sunday Mass because the music ministry is just fantastic, and we feel so lifted up and so part of the whole Mass experience, and I'm just so grateful that we have that. I think that having a more modern service for teens and young adults and young parents is such a great thing that we need here.
Thank you.
But when it comes to manners and dress, I think we want to be very careful and always be positive in how we educate people on that and not be negative, because we certainly don't want to drive anyone away. When they had this really unfortunate fashion of bare midriffs for young teenage girls, it was just horrible. And they would come here and they would come to Mass. And yet, as a friend of mine said, I'd rather see them here that way than not see them here at all. So I think it's just a question of education and being positive. Not being negative. Don't drive anyone away.
I was just looking at, all 8 of these and wondering, how the objectives start doing that. And it seems to me that there's going to be a lot of overlap among a lot of these. And that instead of having 8, that maybe you could just have 4 goals and still, take in all of them. Like stewardship, social justice, ministries, the unity of groups together. Seems to me all these 4 come to the same goal and objectives, so perhaps that might be something to think about, as you look at your objectives. that there is a lot of overlap. And so that maybe there doesn't need to be so much separation of these goals.
I ask for a show of hands, how many of you here have been in this parish for 2 years or less? That's what I thought. I think we need to...
me.
Yeah. I think we need to make a real effort when people come to this parish and register to find out what their giftedness is and give them every opportunity to become involved. I think that many of them, especially if they're retired, they kind of feel like they've come here to retire and they're not going to do anything anymore. But that's not a healthy attitude. They've still got gifts that they can share. And I think that sometimes we have the idea that we own our ministry, and so we go on doing what we do, and we don't make room for these people.
Hopefully that'll be a big part of that stewardship, is people knowing and gifts and calling forth gifts to share. I'm big on that. Thank you.
I think the opposite.
Yes. Oh, come back to you.
I just think we need to somehow, in bringing up the shorts and everything, really brought it home for me, is we need to go for and help bring those people back that are in their post-teen years. I have 2 children that I would love to see them come to church. I don't know what it's going to take for that to happen, but if someone's concerned about them wearing shorts, that's going to really keep them from coming to church, okay? And I don't know what to tell you on that one, all right? But let's not drive them out by saying, you're not going to wear shorts in my church.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, picking up on that last comment about retired people, a lot of them are looking to give. And what happens is when we don't approach them, they're in Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they're in all the other community activities because they don't see that people are asking them to help in the parish. So I just comment on that.
Thank you. Yes, Kate.
Might almost reinforce that. I was a lapsed Catholic and came back about 4 years ago, and it took a long time for me to feel at all at home in this parish. Again, like I say, I travel a lot. I felt more welcome in parishes almost everywhere except here. And I really hate to say that, but it's true. It's a kind of a closed parish in a lot of ways, and anything that we can do to open that up would really help a lot. And I know maybe long-time people are a little bit hesitant when somebody new comes in, the new kid on the block or whatever, but it was strange. I mean, I could go to Trinidad, Colorado, and people would say, hello, are you new? And I went to church here for a long time before anybody said hello.
I did.
On that same note, raising children in this parish is very difficult. I've raised 4, and I have been abused by some of the parishioners. I mean, it's been sad. I've left in tears before. And anybody who has seen my family, I'm very, very careful about noise level, and I have been told off by some people, like, isn't it time for dinner? Shouldn't you be at home? And I mean, just terrible, terrible, scathing comments. And that's, to your point, there needs to be this joyful attitude that is really, really lacking. I see more scowls than smiles frequently, so I can see where you felt that way.
Under 8:45, we'll treat you good.
Well, I used to, but I love 5 o'clock Sunday. Thank you, Benny.
Thanks, Ray. Yes,
I
Rudy.
was going to say, it seems like most of our conversation and comments have revolved around this reverence thing, okay? And the question I have is, if we leave tonight, I'd like to know how these goals are going to be implemented.